Hey everybody, welcome to What Culture Gaming. I'm Scott, I'm joined by Josh.
Hello!
Hello! We're going to talk about The Division 2 because me and you were the only two people that played a whole lot of it. Everyone else hates it. It's a thing.
I think in the world.
Yeah, it's got a weird thing. It's definitely obviously got its fan base, but one of the biggest stories back in 2014 was how it lost 93% of its player base after the first couple of months because it just wasn't that, good.
Gave a smidge of it back though, I think, by the end.
Yes,
yeah.
But basically Ubisoft have announced The Division 2, and rather than just coming to you and going, hey, they've announced The Division 2, let's talk about things that they can actually do to make The Division 2 what it should be, because the actual general gameplay of this game is awesome. I actually really like the shooting in it. And the general feel of it is pretty good, moving from place to place, and all the different stuff they did with rendering New York. There's a lot of potential here, and like I said, it's maintained a very small little pocket of fans that continue to play it quite regularly. But what do you want to see in The Division 2?
Straight away, better Dark Zone. I want a better Dark Zone. I really enjoyed the single player as repetitious as it was, but Dark Zone for me was where it came alive, and it didn't quite fulfill the potential of the early trailers. So I want to see that. I want to see that in The Division 2. I want to see it more cohesively integrated and seamlessly integrated with the actual main map itself, rather than just being cordoned off, even though that's the entire point of the name and stuff.
That was one of the coolest things about it as well. Like, the Dark Zone, for anyone who hasn't played The Division, is ostensibly like a little area in the middle of New York where you can go from, if you're just exploring on the outside, you go to the Dark Zone and all of a sudden you're put into PvP.
Yeah.
And it's all very survivalist. It's pretty much Battle Royale without the skydiving in. And then you've got to try and get some loot and you need to try and escape with it. And people can form alliances or allegiances on the fly, and you don't know who's going to betray each other. You sort of one person who's your friend 1 minute, you might shoot them in the back and steal their stuff. It was really cool.
Yeah.
But that should have been the driving force of The Division rather than the New York stuff. Which kind of ties into the thing that I want to see, which is just a Battle Royale mode.
I'm really conflicted about this, man, because I don't know if it takes away from just the central idea of like Battle Royale, the Dark Zone, because the Dark Zone is great in and of itself, and I'd rather see that battle. Don't you dare.
What if
don't you give them any ideas. Do not give
If it's called the Battle Zone, the Dark Zone, it's the Battle
I don't know, I'll buy
Dark
it.
Royale.
Yeah,
I mean, look, it's good.
Whatever.
Either way, one of the things that I've been, because obviously Battle Royale's taken off. It's the biggest franchise, biggest genre in the world, or whatever. And it's one of those things where I've been waiting for Ubisoft to go, hey, we can do one of them, because they already have a third-person shooting framework. They already have Ghost Recon, they have The Division, and those games play really well in terms of the shooting, so just put it in there. And yes, it would take away from what the Dark Zone does, but just give me a Battle Royale mode with that shooting on a console. Done.
I'm up for it as another mode, because I mean, we've seen Battle Royale games being like the wilderness in like these remote places. A Battle Royale game in a one-to-one recreation of Manhattan. Yes.
See?
What a good setting for it.
See?
In like this sort of weird post-apocalyptic thing. I'm down for it, yeah. Yeah, you've convinced me.
It can work, Dark Zone.
Yes.
What is next on your list, sir?
Just enemies in general. I want more enemy variety. I don't want it to be bullet sponges anymore, because that just... It annoyed me. I was like, why am I just shooting these goons? It's just didn't do it for me.
That's just video games, mate.
I know, but
why are we shooting these goons?
Because we've got this we've got this lush shooting system. We've got this lush world. Why am I just shooting these guys in masks like in any other Ubisoft Tom Clancy game?
Very true. That goes across into one of my things, which was the enemy AI, which this is a separate point, but yes, let's talk about the enemy AI, which was pretty much if you're fighting 5 guys, they would just close you down and you were done.
Right.
And it was just like, even if you were shooting them, there was no like limb-specific damage, or it didn't feel like there was. There was no way to sort of stimulate the tide against a bunch of people. That it kind of went from being this quasi-realistic exchange of gunfire to just being like, well, this guy's got a shield and he's just going to walk towards me until I can't do anything and then I'm dead. Yeah. Which I'll pivot into another one of my points.
Okay.
Because why not? While we're here,
yeah.
The single player. It was the whole thing with The Division was that it was meant to be this. Oh, it's a worthwhile single player and it's a worthwhile multiplayer. And as someone who tried to make it play it as a single player, it's not. Like I did have fun with it, but if you got shot too much and you went down, you just went into that wounded state forever. There was nothing you could do about it unless you put down like a healing station and you preemptively thought you were going to get shot.
You never did though, did you?
No, I didn't. I don't think anybody did. And then if you happen to put one of those down when you went down, you would pop back up again. Unrealistically, but whatever. and that was the thing. But so if they're going to go forward with this whole, this hybridized appeal of like it can be played single player, it can be played multiplayer, then you need to balance it better in the single player stakes, because that enemy AI thing came full circle if you're playing by yourself. Because if you got closed down by like 5 guys or whatever, you were just dead, and then you had to replay a whole chunk of stuff again.
How do you want the single player to be? Do you want like a proper cinematic story, or would you rather just have like a pockets of activities like a Ubisoft open world game and do these? They're all fun.
Probably that. Probably
really?
that.
Okay.
I mean, it's the thing is, like, the biggest reason that people stick to the Division is because of its mechanics and the general feel of gameplay.
Yeah.
Like that whole, like, obviously you can say it's a loot shooter, and it is, but that whole feel of like lining up headshots, using your character's abilities, that kind of stuff. That's what felt so tactile and fun.
Yes.
And some of the places some of the areas that you cleared out in the first one did have that sort of Far Cry 3-esque open world thing. Which is worth saying because the guys that the guys that developed Far Cry 3, Massive Entertainment, Ubisoft's one of Ubisoft studios, they're doing the Division.
Right.
So if they can just carry across that, just do the thing that made us all love Far Cry 3.
But
you know,
we all loved Far Cry 3 in 2012. Have we not moved on a little bit?
Do you not love it now?
I love Far Cry 3. I've played Far Cry 3 again. I don't love Far Cry 4, which did the same thing.
It's fine. Far Cry 3 was very good. They're all good. This is a different debate for a different time. Far Cry 3 is returning this year at some point, though.
Right.
Anyway.
So with the single player of the Division.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, I enjoyed it, but the first one straddled the line between the cinematic thing and the open world thing, where we ended up just having a final boss that was a helicopter. Naff. So I mean, I wouldn't mind a bit more story there.
It's also worth saying that in terms of the story, the general setup was there are gangs, and you should go stop the gangs. And that's it. But that just led to you just running up to people in the streets and just unloading on them straight away. Not even saying like, hey, you actually... Because sometimes you would see a civilian looting a car, like trying to pick a lock, and you couldn't shoot them.
Yeah.
But then someone else around the corner would have a red mark on their head, and they're the bad guys.
So as controversial as that was, those moments where you just went around the corner, saw people in an alleyway, like battering on some guy, and then taking out some vigilante justice on them, that was way more satisfying to me than like fighting these guys with flamethrowers or taking down their base. I mean, it was fine, but it's like didn't quite fit with the theme.
That was the thing, because they did that. I wish I could think of the name of it. They did the DLC that was extremely atmospheric, where it was very survival focused, and you had to go from fire to fire. And you were always suffering from this this disease, and you had to fight other players to get the cure. One of the things that the kind of the most understated element of the Division is the atmosphere.
Yes.
Because that's the thing. When there's a full snowstorm going on, and you're just one guy with a rifle just making your way through the place, that was great. That's actually something that they maybe could lean on even more, but it'll probably mesh with the whole, hey, let's have fun as a group and do this stuff.
I think that's why I have such a fondness for the Division, because I played it for a couple of days in Easter, just smashed straight through it. And although it didn't have like the lasting appeal of me wanting to go back and like grind it out, that atmosphere of like wandering around in like the snow on your own, I played on my own as well. So
it's the way forward.
I mean, it was alright.
The lone wolves.
But yeah, it was like that atmosphere that really propelled it for me. That makes me excited for the Division 2, even though I shouldn't be. Maybe.
I think it depends how they go. I mean, Ubisoft have had a hell of a year last year. Like, I mean, they've put loads of time into the Division itself, into Ghost Recon, into the one that you play all the time, Rainbow Six Siege.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Even For Honor's had a lot of time. I mean, Ubisoft have kind of gone back and said, look, we've put all this time and money into these projects. Let's go back and actually touch them up even more.
Yeah.
And they seem to have a very player-focused mentality right now, which is good to see.
Well, I mean, they're still making changes to the Division for all 100 people who are playing it, probably.
Sorry.
So yeah, like I was saying about how I didn't really go back to it, I want a better endgame going forward. I mean, I want to stick around in this world, I want to do activities and stuff. I don't just want to repeat the same missions on harder difficulties with friends. I need more substance.
Level
I want
13.
more than just a brown jacket to unlock Scott. I need more.
Oh god, that's a whole thing, the whole loot system. Like going back to that vendor and being like, what new stuff have you got? Oh, it's just gloves again. Like, I want
gloves.
I want like a fancy bomber jacket thing, a bit of that. And if you don't have one of them, then I'm not going to shoot all you terrorist men. But whatever. That's one of the things that I think they need to work on the most, because that was the biggest reason that so many people dropped off. Which was just like, what do I do? Okay, these enemies are more bullet spongy, and I have a higher drop rate of getting this. It was very mechanical.
Well, that was the thing. In the first one, the Dark Zone was supposed to be the answer to that, but because it was so separate, I mean, it had like separate currencies and everything, didn't it? It was just so segmented that it didn't quite work. Whereas if they integrated more smoothly in this one, that could easily carry it, I think, if they did that well.
Absolutely. I would say that all that stuff has definitely been a growing pain for Ubisoft, and we've seen them kind of walk certain things back. There was the whole thing with the steel in For Honor, the different currency in there.
Oh, yeah.
They've had a lot of back and forwards on different ways to do microtransactions, loot boxes, blind boxes, all that crap. I think they've got on top of it now, because if you look at their output last year, just the general amount of titles they went back to and refined, I have to hope, with just sheer hope, that they do know what the hell they're doing with this. But we'll have to wait and see. There's nothing alongside the Division other than a title, so you guys can let us know what you think down in the comments below. Either way, I've been Scott from WhatCulture.com.
I've been Josh from WhatCulture.com.
And we'll catch you soon.
Bye.